Hi everyone, it's Evangeline here at etrailer.com, and today we are looking at our Swagman Locking Anti-rattle Hitch Pin for Swagman 2-inch hitch bike racks here at eTrailer. This is a great option to have if you maybe have the style that does not lock and only uses a clip, or if you've lost your anti-rattle bolt and want to get a new one. Let's take a look at the anti-rattle bolt itself. So this is made of triple plated chrome, and what that means is it's nice and shiny and it's durable. So that plating helps prevent rust and corrosion from damaging your bolt and keeps it fresh for a longer period of time. Now let's take a look at the lock itself. So this lock here, it's round, which I think helps as you tighten it down. You don't have to take it off. Also, it is spring-loaded, so if you have your keys attached, you can just pop it on there and it snaps into place. And when it is locked, that's when you can remove your keys. So we have it here, not attached. Pop that into place, and now we can remove the keys and just then. So when you have it on your lock, your keys cannot be removed in the unlocked position. One of my favorite features is the dust cover, and I really like its designs because once you remove your keys, you have this open and then you just close it like that, open that up again, and this really helps prevent dirt and grime and dust getting into there and locking up your lock core. One thing to note is that this hitch lock fits onto bike racks that have a solid 2-inch shank, like what we have here, our Swagman E-Spec. If you have another bike rack, let's say the Swagman XC, which has an 1.25 inch with a 2-inch sleeve, this uses a different type of hitch lock, like this one here, which is smaller. So make sure to get the right hitch lock for your bike rack.
Cool, so we have a bunch of different locks here that I got pulled just to try out and see the differences. Do you have any questions in particular about any of the locks while they are down here?
Okay, so we've got 2 Swagman locks and we've got 2 Kuat locks.
Ew.
And as I understand it, one is for the 1.25 inch rack for Swagman and Kuat, and the other one is for 2-inch racks for Swagman and Kuat. Okay. And one of them will not work in a 2-inch rack.
No. So the thing is with the shanks for solid 2-inch racks is that, like this, we have the XC2, which is an 1.25 inch and a 2-inch sleeve. So that fits into this one because the hole for the hitch pin hole is smaller, so the thread really catches on. So if you do have a 2-inch solid rack, like for the Kuat, you have the Kuat Sherpa, then it's not going to work with that because then you just have the smaller 1.25 inch hitch pin lock rattling around inside that hole.
And that would not be very secure, correct?
Oh, it wouldn't, no. You'd lose all that anti-rattle function, and it will put more stress on your lock itself because that's what's holding it in place. It's not evenly distributed anymore.
Now, the 2 Swagman locks are anti-rattle. Are the Kuat locks anti-rattle?
No.
They are not. So we have here the hitch pin locks. So they're not anti-rattle locks. And as you can see, there's no thread on there. There's nothing for the anti-rattle function. It just sticks in there and then is locked down. Now, that's because a lot of the Kuat, it's over here. A lot of the Kuat bike racks have their own anti-rattle knob at the end, though. So some of your bike racks don't need an anti-rattle hitch lock. They just need a hitch pin lock.
Which all of the Kuats, just as long as they fit inside the hitch, they'll basically work on any of the bike racks you have, as long as they don't need a specific type of anti-rattle bolt or anything like that.
So I guess that would make it a little bit more universal.
Yeah.
So the Kuats are fairly universal, but the Swagmans are pretty much going to be specific to Swagman racks.
Yep.
Yeah. The thread pattern is very important because I know the different bike racks have their own different thread pattern, and that's what causes the anti-rattle to happen. So if you use a different lock on your bike rack, you can risk damaging your lock and or your bike rack.
And you definitely don't want to force it in. If it doesn't go in, you just stop, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Or else you'll have to end up replacing your shank for your bike rack.
Sure.
If you want to compare though, this is the anti-rattle bolt that comes with the XC2. So there's no locking function on the XC2 because it's like your base bike rack. So for people that want to upgrade to the anti-rattle hitch lock, you can see how much of a difference there is in size, quality, it can lock. So this is what you're upgrading from.
Yeah, there's quite a big difference there.
Yeah. There's the same amount of thread though, but it's the lock itself is different.
Yeah, and the quality is definitely very telling between these two. Maybe it's just because it's universal, but the Swagmans are definitely way, way better made compared. You want to give the little shake test with this one?
Especially
You can
here without the keys.
without the keys.
Especially, so the first thing we noticed when we put it in the lock was how wobbly it is inside the lock. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear it from over all this.
Yeah, it definitely feels a lot different compared to when you have the Swagman in. So there's a big difference in feel as well.
Not to mention, even between the Kuats, this one definitely is a lot better. I think just the design in general is a lot more appealing than just the big tumbler like they have on this one, which I mean, it'll work for sure. But compared that to just like this looks a lot more streamlined. It's something that I'd actually want to have on my vehicle and on my bike rack.
Yeah.
So.
And that is the 2-inch one, correct?
That is the 2-inch one.
It is the 2-inch one. Have y'all had experience with attaching like a hitch lock on your bike racks or your cargo carriers?
Can you run through it real quick?
Yeah. So, like for these, the main thing with this though is you need a tool to tighten it down, since it is an anti-rattle bolt. Which is why I also recommend picking up the performance tool and socket, because that just makes my life a lot easier. You just put it in, hand tighten it as much as you can, then use your socket or your tool to really tighten it down, and then you lock it into place. So this is nice because you can't remove the keys until you have the lock in the spring. So that means you don't lose your lock until you actually.
Another good thing. Oh, go ahead.
You wouldn't need a tool at all for the Kuat ones. They just slide right in.
Yep.
They do just slide right in. So that's one thing, and that's pro for this type of.
It's quicker to get on. So if you're in a hurry,
it just slides right on, and then you just pop that right into place and take that right off. So you're not tightening anything down.
Okay,
I will say though that we do have kits, luckily for the Swagmans, that come with a cable lock, which is really nice. And that's always super useful if you have like we have 2 bikes on there. Maybe they're a little bit more expensive. It just gives you a little bit more, safe of mind, and the fact that they are both key to like is super nice.
They are.
Yeah, that's nice that you can use one key for both locks.
Mhm. So like after you tighten down your hitch lock, that's when you put the cable in. Yeah, right there. And then you lock it into place with this. That's another reason why they're a little bit longer, so that you have space for that cable lock.
Sure.
But yeah. Anytime I would recommend these though, I always recommend getting the performance tool as well.
And what size of wrench is that again?
So this uses a 3/4 socket. Not sure what drive it is though.
But at least if you're able to get a 3/4 socket, it'll work on these.
Yeah.
So, and most people will usually have, if they have some kind of socket set up, they'll have a 3/4 on them. But
Yeah.
if you happen not to, you can always just pick it up with us, which is nice.
Thanks. So you did a very good job of displaying all the difference between all 4 locks. Looks like each one of them might have an advantage and a disadvantage depending on what you're doing.
It does, yeah. At first I wasn't so sure about the hitch pin style, but it is a lot faster to use. So if your bike already has an anti-rattle knob on it, why not?
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you very much for showing us that.
Thank you for calling and the questions.
All right. Well, you take care.
You too. Thanks. Bye, everyone.
To install your anti-rattle bolt, just pop it into your hitch receiver's hitch pin hole and try to tighten it as much as you can with your hands. And from there, you can use the wrench that is included with your bike rack, but I recommend picking up our performance tool with a 15/16 socket, and that makes the whole process a lot easier. Just tighten it down. Once that is tightened down, what you can then do is make sure your lock has the keys in it, and that's unlocked. From here, you can just pop it onto your anti-rattle bolt and then remove the keys and put that dust cover back into place. My final thoughts about this anti-rattle bolt is that I really like how it's designed. It's made to not only protect your bike rack and to deter theft, but it's also made to protect itself. You have this plating that really helps protect it from wear and tear and rust and corrosion, as well as this nice hitch lock. So your locking aspect there has that dust cover, which I'm a big fan of. All in all the different features work together to make sure you have the best experience. And that was a look at our Swagman Locking Anti-Rattle Hitch Pin for 2-inch bike racks here at etrailer.com.